Hello, welcome back. It's so good to see you. So today we're going to be doing video number 3 of life stories. I haven't done one of these videos in a while, and I've actually forgot about it until a subscriber requested for me to do it, or to do a story time video. I thought it would just be easier to do the life story thing, because if you haven't seen the other 2 videos, my life story videos are actually part of this board game, and I don't actually play the game. I just get the cards out of the game, and they have questions on them, and it's just like a game that you play with like a group of people to get people starting a conversation, that kind of thing, and you find out different things about people that you didn't know before. Anyway, so since somebody requested it, I had actually forgotten about it, but since somebody requested it, I was like, yeah, so let's do it. So I just grabbed a handful of cards, and I thought it would be fun to go through the questions and then answer them for you. Yeah, and also I think it'd be fun, like, if you had some responses to the questions, maybe you could leave them in the comments as well. Okay, so the first card, it says, describe an occupation you think would be fascinating. I think for me, a fascinating job would be an actress or actor, whatever you want to call it, just because it's like you would get to do every job, but you wouldn't have to actually do the hard work of the job. You could just do like the fun part of it, and you wouldn't have to actually do it, so there would be no real stress about it. But what I think is extra cool about being an actor or actress, whatever, is that you get to see a movie or a show, something like that, from start to finish. So you get to see it on paper, and then you get to see it like, in pre-production and during the production of whatever it is, and then you get to see the end result. I just think that's so cool. And yeah, and then you get to do all occupations, really, because that's what an actor does. They're acting as though they have these roles, I don't know, I just think I think that would be fun, very fascinating. Okay, the second question is, what is one kind of art that intrigues you? I really like fluid art, or I can't think of the name of it, but it's those paintings that are done with like billions of dots. I can't think of it. It's gonna drive me insane. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, though, because like yeah, like I know Monet is this kind of artist. I just can't think of it. But so I like those dot paintings, because up close they're just like nothing. It's just like this big blur. But then the further back you go, the more the picture becomes clear, and I just think that's so cool. And then fluid art, because like there's so many different ways to do fluid art, and it just looks so cool, and it's so easy to do. Like anybody can do it. I've actually made a video showing fluid art, and I just love it. I have so many paintings in my house of fluid art because I love it. It's fun. Okay, the next question is, what activities besides eating went on at the kitchen table in the home in which you grew up? Definitely homework. I would always have to do homework at the dining room table when I got home from school. And then we would dye Easter eggs at the table, and like when we had family game night or something, we would play board games or puzzles. We also did puzzles at the family table as well. let's see. What is an unanswered question you would like to ask your parents? I have a question that I would like to know the answer to, but I would not want to ask it. And it's a terrible, terrible question. Yeah, but it's like, why are y'all together? They've been together for, how old am I? 37. So they've been together for over 40 years. And they don't like each other. I mean, I think it's just like a convenient thing. Like they're just used to them being around. But they're two totally different people. And they just don't like each other. But it's like they would never get divorced. They're one of those couples that is like, no, once you're married, it's for life. But I would like to know, like, why are y'all even together? I mean, I'm sure they love each other, but I don't think they're in love with each other. That's sad, but I mean, I'm just being honest. Let's see. What was one of your favorite family dinners as a child? Spaghetti and garlic bread, and that's still one of my favorite dinners. I just love spaghetti and garlic bread. It's so good. Okay, the next one is tell about a risk you have taken in your life. A risk that you've taken in your life. I don't know, because I'm very cautious. Well, okay, I guess it would be a risk with my life. A long time ago, before I was married and before I had kids, so probably about 14 years ago, maybe. No, probably about 18 years ago, I went skydiving, and I didn't tell anybody. I went with a group of friends from work, and I didn't tell anyone. I just woke up super early, and I think I had to drive to some town like in Rosenberg. I think that's the name of the town. And I think it's like Skydive Houston or Houston Skydive, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I woke up super early in the morning and drove down there with my coworker friends and just went skydiving. And I paid for the package where like they record it and they take pictures and stuff like that. And so then that afternoon I came back home and I told my mom that I got her this movie and I wanted her to see it like right away. And so I put it in the DVD player and she was like, "What is this?" And it said my name, Tandem. And she was like, "What is that?" And then she saw me like putting on the parachute thing and she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did this today. I don't know." And she was just like, "What is happening?" Which it was a cool experience, but it's like, dude, sometimes parachutes don't open. And you know, like my tandem instructor guy, he just got back from leave or whatever because the previous jump that he broke his leg. So that kind of worried me. But whatever, nothing bad happened. But to me, it's like risking your life. So I would never do it again, but I would do that skydive where it's like a big room and then it like you stand up and then you just have like air that's pushing up against you, because that's safe skydiving. You know what I mean? It's not real, but it's the same sensation. So I don't know, but it was really cool. Okay, the next one is, where was a special place you liked to play as a child? I don't really have a special place. Like, we didn't have forts or anything like that. Well, I really liked, me and my brother, we would always take all of our dining room chairs and bring them into the living room and spread them out like as far as we could, and we would get all the blankets in the house, and we would make a huge blanket fort in the living room, and like that was just always really fun to do. So I guess blanket forts in the living room. Okay, the next one is describe something you and your father did together. Me and my dad. Well, he would take me fishing sometimes. I remember when I was a kid, we would go fishing, but I could never put the little bait or worm on the hook just because I can't. Ugh. Like, I did not enjoy the fishing stuff at all. But he also took me and my brother to monster truck rallies. And this was like when the Astrodome existed. So it was before they tore it down. Or did they tear it down? I don't know. But yeah, it was in the Astrodome. And we would go to monster truck rallies, and they were just like the coolest thing. And then after the truck rally, we would go to, on the way back from Houston, we would stop at this restaurant in Spring, and it was called Champs. They don't have it anymore. I think they've turned it into like a CC's or something, but it was called Champs, and it was like a buffet kind of place. I don't know. I just remember doing monster truck rallies and then going to Champs later. Like, it was a thing that we did. Okay, describe something you and your brother or sister did together. I'm trying to think, because like my sister wasn't really around a lot when we were kids. I do know that before I went to boot camp in the Marines, I wanted to have like something for us to like say goodbye, like a good memory. And so we went to Astroworld, and this was before they shut it down or closed it, tore it down, whatever they did. But yeah, we all went to Astroworld, and it was just like a really fun day. We never did anything just us kids like that before, but we weren't really kids. We were all adults by that time. But yeah, that's something that we all did together, I guess. Okay, describe a friend you haven't seen recently but would like to see again. I don't really have that many friends, but one that I would like to see again is my friend Amanda, and she is somebody that I met in the Army. When my husband was in the Army, he became friends with this one guy, and we both lived on base, and he wanted to have a friend, and I wanted to have a friend, and so they were like, well, let's make our wives meet, and then we can hang out more, you know. And I was kind of nervous because I'm not a social person, and you know, I just don't have that many friends, you know. I'm not like that. But when me and Amanda met, it was like we were instantly best friends. It was amazing. And yeah, and then, you know, my husband, he retired from the Army, and they stayed, but then they got stationed in Germany, so they are quite far away. Okay, recall a time you heard about one of your grandfathers. No, recall a story you heard about one of your grandfathers. I didn't know any of the grandfathers on my dad's side, so I have my mom's dad, which I don't like, so I don't call him my grandfather. But I have my mom's dad, so that was her grandfather, so he would be my great-grandfather. I loved him. And when he died, it was very sad. But I remember that they had to go to his house and clean it out. And my aunt said that when she was cleaning out a closet in his bedroom, there was this shoebox in at the bottom, and she pulled it out. She opened the shoebox, and there was a bunch of weed. A bunch of weed in the shoebox. Like, dang, Grandpa, what are you doing? That's just so funny. Like, what? You just don't think of your grandpa or your great grandpa doing something like that, you know? I don't know. Anyway, okay. Tell about a movie that brought tears to your eyes. Well, brought tears. I don't know. There's lots of movies that do that, but it's probably like one of them would be Titanic, because it's one of my favorite movies. And like when it gets to the point where like the boat or the ship or whatever is really going down, and like it, it like gets vertical or whatever, and then like people are falling and you can just hear people screaming and stuff, and it's just terrible, and it makes me cry every single time, because it's like, that really happened, and like it was just awful, and I can't, every time I get to that part of the movie, it's just instant tears. Okay, describe something unusual about a wedding you've attended. Okay, so I haven't been to very many weddings. I think I've been to 3 in my whole life. So the last wedding that I went to was to my husband's cousin. So I guess she's my cousin-in-law. Okay, so his cousin, ever since she has existed, has been a lesbian. So, like, okay, so one Thanksgiving, she comes home, and I'm expecting to see her with her girlfriend. She doesn't bring a girlfriend, she brings like a guy, and we thought that it was one of her friends, because she's brought friends, to Thanksgiving before. But they were like being kind of flirty and stuff, and I was just like, what? So anyway, and then like 6 months later, we get an invite to her wedding, and so I'm like, oh my god, she's marrying a man, like, which was just shocking to me, because she's always been a lesbian. Like, I guess she's fluid or something, I don't know. But anyway, so I was just like, well, okay. So we go to the wedding, and it's very strange, because she's marrying a man, which is just awkward for us, but all of her ex-lesbian lovers are there. What? That's weird. Very, very weird. And I would feel weird if I was the man that she was marrying, if all of her ex-girlfriends were at our wedding. Like, what? I don't get that. But so we're sitting there waiting for her to come down the aisle, and we're like looking for her future husband, the man that she brought to Thanksgiving 6 months earlier. And we don't see him, and we're like, what's going on? And we see this other man standing up at the altar, and we're like, who is that? And then the next thing you know, we see his cousin walking up the aisle, and then she gets over there and she starts holding this man's hands, and she starts marrying the man. And we're like, who is that? We had no idea who she was marrying, and I'm just like, what? This was years ago. She's still married to him. They're very happily married and stuff, but at the time we were just shocked, because in 1 second she's a lesbian, then all of a sudden she's not. She's marrying this man. Oh wait, no, she wasn't marrying the man that we thought she was marrying. She's marrying this person that no one has ever met before. What is happening? It was the craziest thing ever. But yeah, whatever. She's married to him. She's happily married. Whatever. It was just very, like, I remember looking and like, who is that guy? Is she marrying that guy? During the wedding, I was whispering to my husband, and he's like, what? This can't be right. I mean, it's his cousin, and he doesn't even know. Crazy. Okay. Tell about one of the best gifts you have ever received. I've gotten a couple of gifts that I really like. Like one time, my husband bought me this paint medium. Now, I know that sounds stupid, but this medium, I can't think of the name of it because I don't actually use it anymore. I found a different kind that I like. God, what is it called? I don't know, but it was very, very expensive. Like, you could get a bottle like about this big, and it was like $85. Okay, it was very, very expensive. Anyway, it might have been Liquitex, but I'm not sure. I don't know. Anyway, but like my husband gave me that for my birthday one year, and I opened it up and I just started crying because I wanted that specific medium, but it was just too expensive for me to buy, you know. And he bought it for me, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And then my aunt just recently gave me a gift. It's not really a gift, but my grandmother, she got Alzheimer's, no, dementia. She had dementia, and she had to move in, you know, with her daughters and stuff, and they would take turns taking care of her until it was time to actually put her in like a dementia home or whatever. But when that happened, we had to pack up her house and, you know, put everything in storage, that kind of thing. Well, when we were doing that, she was like, anybody can take anything that they want because, you know, whatever. Well, my sister claimed this one painting that she had done of all of her girls. My grandmother had 6 daughters, and she had a professional painting done like in 1958 or something. I don't know. It was probably 1960 something, actually, because it had all her girls. But she took claim to that, and so I was like, well, that's okay, because my grandmother had these 2 paintings of her childhood home in Minnesota, and she would always talk about her farm and her house when she was a child and stuff like that. And the paintings were of her actual home and barn, and it was the house that she was born in, the house that she grew up in, everything like that. And it has the painting in a winter scene, and then there's a second painting in a, like, I guess, summer scene. And I said, I want those paintings, you know, for when I have a house and blah blah blah. Well, everyone knew that those were mine, and my grandma said that I could have them and stuff like that. Well, I had to work, so I wasn't able to help with the house cleaning thing, and I was like, where are my paintings? You know, like, nobody ever gave them to me, and I was just like, what? And then that year, I went over to my aunt's house for Christmas Day, I think, and what's on her wall? My paintings. I was like, oh my god, I was so mad, but I didn't say anything. And then, like, a few months ago, maybe about 2 months ago, she called me, and she was like, can I come over for a minute? And I was like, yeah, sure. So she comes over, and she hands me the paintings, and she was like, somebody said that you had wanted these, so I wanted to go ahead and give them to you. And this is literally like 10 years later, and I was just like so grateful because my grandmother died like 3 or 4 years ago. So I was just like so like, oh my gosh, you know, because it was like a piece of my grandma. I don't know, it just, that definitely was one of the best things that I could have gotten. So And also a video that my husband made for Mother's Day. Him and my kids made me a special Mother's Day video, and he actually posted it on YouTube. It was so nice. Okay, this one says, describe a way that your life is different from a year ago. No homeschool. Oh my gosh. Last year, the kids had to do homeschool for like the first big chunk of school, and it was the absolute worst because I have 2 kids and they had to be in like virtual school at the same time. So one of them was on a laptop and the other one was on a tablet, but I had to help both of them at the same time, and it was like really hard. Really hard. My son hated it, my daughter hated it. Nobody knew how to work any of the technology. It was just the absolute worst. And so now the kids are actually in real school, and it's great. But I'm very scared that we're going to go back to virtual learning, which I don't like. Or actually, they said no virtual learning. Like the Texas government thing or whatever said that they will not authorize virtual learning this year because the COVID cases in my children's school district are like quadruple the numbers that they were last year at their highest, and they've only been in school for like a week or 2 or something, and the numbers are just outrageous, and we're at level 4 COVID alert or whatever, and if like anyone else gets COVID, they have to close the schools because they're not going to have enough teachers to teach the students that are in school. It's super scary. But they said that they can't do virtual learning, so if they have to close the school, they're going to have to either extend the school year, or when they open it up, they will have to extend the hours of school. And that, just go away, COVID, please. Anyway, okay. Describe something nice someone did for you. Well, I mean, yeah, the paintings that my aunt gave me, the story that I just told you, that was super nice. Like, she didn't have to give me those paintings, but she heard that I had wanted them and she wanted me to have them. So the fact that she brought them over here was just great. Like, that was super nice, and I don't know, I really appreciated it. What is one of your all-time pet peeves? Sounds. I hate sounds. Like, I know that I have an ASMR channel, and like, okay, I hate sounds, but I also enjoy ASMR. So it's like, I have misophonia, which is basically the hatred of sounds, or like mouth sounds, or just anything really. But I also enjoy ASMR. It's like, I'm so picky. I want to hear the sounds that I want to hear when I want to hear them, and not when I don't. Does that make sense? I don't know. Okay. Would you like to travel to the moon? Nope. And it says why? Because, like, why travel to the moon? Like, no way. Traveling to space is so dangerous. Because, like, your trip there is not guaranteed. Your trip back is not guaranteed. It's like anything could go wrong and you could just die out there. Like, I know that could happen here. Anything could go wrong, but it's more likely and more dangerous and more scary in space. And then what are you gonna do when you're at the moon? Okay, I'm here. Like, it's not even about like, wow, the view is great and like the experience and stuff. No, I can watch a video of that. I can see pictures. I am not going out there. And then you have to wear this big chunky suit. No. No, 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 no. No, thank you. Okay, what is one of your all-time favorite movies and why? All-time favorite movie ever, ever, ever is Home Alone. I love that movie. I have always loved that movie, and it'll forever be my favorite movie. Like, nothing can beat that movie for me. It's Christmas. Like, it's my favorite Christmas movie. And, like, I love Macaulay Culkin in it. He is the greatest. Like, there's nobody else that could play that role. And I know that because they have made. My husband just told me like 2 days ago. He's like, you know, there are 5 Home Alones, and I was like, no, because I remember the third one that came out and it had some other kid in it, and I was like, that kid sucks. That is not Macaulay Culkin. No. Um, but anyway, yeah, and like my son, he looks, well, he's starting to change a little, but my son resembles Macaulay Culkin a lot from that movie. And so, like, when we used to watch the movie, he would be like, that's me, that's me. Like, he was shocked that he was in something and he didn't remember doing it. It was just funny. So he enjoys that movie too because it's like his movie, you know. Okay, tell about a special birthday you had. A special birthday. Like, no birthdays to me are really special. I don't know. I just feel awkward during birthdays because it's like people are paying attention to me, and I do not like that. Like, I like that they're caring about me and wanting to spend time with me, but don't like make the day about me. It just makes me feel weird, especially the older I get. It's just like, ugh, awkward. Um, but one that was like super cool for me was my 16th birthday because my mom bought me a car, which was awesome. But because I had my birthday is in August, and it's August 20th, and so when I was 16, school started like back then. It started like on August 23rd or something like that. So she got me a car. She gave it to me on the 20th, and then in 3 days I was going to drive it to school. Well, the semester before, I I had taken driver's ed in school, and I passed. I passed the written test with like, 100, and then the driver's test I passed with a 70 because I could not drive that well, and like a lot of the things like the parallel parking and like, I don't know, just random stuff, the instructor basically did it for me, and he just kind of like passed me. So when my mom got me the car, I was like, oh, yay. I did not know how to drive, but there was no way I was going to tell her because I just got a car, right? So the first time I ever drove a car by myself was in my own car that I got for my birthday, and it was to school. And I was freaking out. Freaking out. Now, my house was maybe 4-5 miles from the school, but I had to go on a feeder road, and I know feeder roads are like whatever, no big deal, but I was so scared. Like, I almost had to get onto the freeway, and then I didn't know how to park the car either, so I parked it in the very back of the parking lot so that I wouldn't hit anybody else's car, because I needed to get there super early so nobody would see me having to park this car 1,000 times to get into the lines, and so that I wouldn't hit anyone's car, because everyone wanted to get in the front of the parking lot. I was like, I don't want to hit anybody's car. So yeah, that was terrifying. But eventually I learned how to drive. I don't think I ever even told my mom that. don't know how she would feel about that. But yeah, it was terrifying. But still, special birthday. I got a car, so it wasn't a brand new car or anything like that. So, but still, I got a car. It was awesome. Okay, what is one of your favorite cartoons or comics and why? Probably Big Mouth on Netflix. That show is hilarious. I cannot think of the name. Nick Kroll, I think. I think he created it, maybe. I think he did. Yeah, because it's based off of his childhood. I don't know, but it's like the most truthful cartoon thing about adolescence, really. But it's so awkward and just like offensive, and it's just funny. I don't know. I really like it. Okay, the next question is, do you think there is life on another planet? Yup, because there's no way that we are the only ones. Like, the universe is infinite. What is this little planet Earth? You know what I mean? Like, we're just this little tiny piece of the universe. What about all this out there? You know what I mean? Okay, describe a time when you felt you were lucky. A time when I felt I was lucky. Well, I don't remember the year. It was probably a couple years ago, but Hurricane Harvey hit, and yeah, it's they released like the river or lake. I don't know what it is that they did, but they released water so that the real expensive houses don't flood. But anybody down, from the lake or whatever, they'll flood. Well, we're in a no flood zone, but it was so bad during Hurricane Harvey that I looked down my street and I could see water coming up it. And it like went down into a hill and the water was slowly coming up here. And I was like, oh my God. And my husband was at work and I was like, you need to get home right now. And he was like, I'll be there, in a couple hours. And so then I sent him a picture because at the end of the road, somebody had driven their boat. Their boat was in the middle of the road. And I was like, this is not okay. You need to get home right now. So he came home because I was like, we got to get our furniture and stuff upstairs. Like, I was terrified. And the year before, it had done that, but it had just stayed down there. It didn't climb the street or anything. Well, it did this time, and it flooded. And I remember it didn't flood that much in our house. It only flooded about 11 inches. So it was below the outlets and everything, so nothing electrical got damaged or anything like that, which is great. The only thing that got ruined was the lower half of our walls, which my husband replaced, and the floor. We had to have that replaced as well. But I was just really grateful that we got out of there in time. We had to be taken out by a rescue boat. What? Crazy. But I'm very grateful that we were able to save the furniture that we did, and that it wasn't as bad as it could have been, because people down the street, they had water like all the way up to the ceilings going up their stairs to the second floor. And I'm like, I can't imagine. I am so grateful that it wasn't that bad. It was only 11 inches, and it didn't cost that much to replace it. And I felt very lucky, that it wasn't worse. Okay, would you like to live forever? No. I mean, technically, if you think about it, you do. Unless you're, what do they call it, like atheists or something? People that don't believe, like, when you die, you're just dead. My sister believes that, and I'm just like, I don't want to believe that. If that happens, then that's fine, but I don't want to, like, continue living life thinking that, because seriously, like, then what's the point? But technically, I think that you do live forever. You just, depending on what you believe, you can go to heaven and then you continue on, like your spirit or soul or whatever. Or um, there are past lives, or not past lives, but reincarnation, you know? So you get a new life and stuff like that. Like your soul or, you know, spirit or whatever continues on. So to me, you do live forever. But I think it's asking, like, this life, would you like to live and like never die again? And that is a no, because I don't want to be old. And but if like you stay young or something, I still wouldn't like that, because everyone that you know would like die, you know. That like makes me think about like vampires and stuff. Like I would never want to be a vampire. Not that that's a real thing, but I'm just saying. Okay, let's see. Describe a way that your parents influenced your spiritual beliefs. Okay, my dad did not have a religion. My mom was raised Catholic, and my grandmother was Catholic, and I remember going to Catholic Mass when I was a child, and gosh, it was the absolute worst. When I was in boot camp, I remember going to the Catholic services and stuff like that. No, no. I did not like that at all. And then when I got older, my husband's family is Christian, and they are literally all pastors. His mom is a pastor, his dad is a pastor, his brother is a pastor, his sister-in-law is a pastor, his sister is a pastor. Like, everyone is pastors in his family. And no. I tried to get into that. I went to the church, I read the Bibles, I went to women's Bible study, I went to marriage Bible study, that kind of thing. And it was not for me. It was better than Catholic, for sure, because I grew up Catholic, and but I didn't like some of the things. I'm much more spiritual. You know what I mean? Like, I do believe that there is God or source or creation, that kind of thing. But it's not a religious thing. It's a spiritual thing, you know. So my parents didn't really influence me. They just were like, you're Catholic. And so I grew up thinking, oh, okay, I'm Catholic. I was not Catholic. I just did whatever my parents said, you know. But whatever. So I guess they instilled in me beliefs, but as you get older and you know, experience the world on your own, you know, sometimes those things change. Okay, name a book or publication that stirred your thinking and how. The Secret. That book is awesome. And I feel like that book just teaches you the power of positivity and how, your outlook on life and things like that. It's a book that makes you feel good, and it makes you feel powerful. Like, wow, I can just do anything. You know, it's really cool. And I think they have The Secret on Netflix as well. I'm not sure if it's on there anymore, but The Secret on Netflix is basically The Secret book, just visualized. It's really cool. Okay, where would you live if you could live anywhere, and why? I would like to live here still, but I'd like to change basically everything about where I live. I like the place that I live. Like, I like my house, and I like that my mom's here and my in-laws are there, and like my sister's right there. Like, everybody's so close together, and I like that. But yeah, I want it to be a magical place. Like, I want all this stuff, but I want to have it on like 4 acres. So I want bigger lots. And I also want it to be right where I'm at. So, like, Walmart is literally 4 miles away, HEB is a mile away, the kids' school is a mile away. Like, you know what I mean? And I also want it to have 4 seasons. I want there to be a real winter with snow. I want there to be a real fall where the leaves change colors and it's all cool and breezy. I want there to be a spring where it's just awesome. And I want the summer to be like 2 weeks long. Yeah. So I want to live in that magical land. Okay. If you had more money, what would you change about your life? Nothing. I mean, honestly, nothing. Like, I would just, I guess I would eat out a lot more. I don't know. I would save really for retirement or vacations or just something like that. Like, I'm so busy. Like, what would I change about my life? Like, nothing. Okay, tell about a restaurant you ate at recently. The last restaurant that I ate at was Olive Garden, and we went there when we went clothes shopping and stuff for the kids for school. We usually do that every year. We didn't do it last year because everything was closed, but anyway, so we went to Olive Garden because I like pasta and they have a lot of vegan options at Olive Garden, so my husband can eat there as well. But like, I was severely disappointed. Like, we haven't gone anywhere in well over a year and a half, maybe 2 years, because of the whole pandemic thing. And so I've been cooking at home, and I've been cooking a lot more clean and stuff because my husband, I think in February, he became vegan, and so I wanted to make sure that I make things, the right way and stuff like that. And we've been eating so much better at home than anything that we've ever had before. But I was having, I don't know if like my taste buds have changed or what, but when we went to Olive Garden, I had the memory of Olive Garden from like 2 years ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be so good, yum yum yum. And we ordered the food, and I was like, I can cook better than this. Like, really? Like, I was really disappointed, and my husband was too. He was like, your food tastes better than this, and like, this is disappointing because we're paying more money for this. Like, I enjoyed the fact that I didn't have to cook it, but I would have rather cooked it because it would have tasted way better. Like, I don't know. Okay, last question. What is one of your favorite television programs? I mean, come on. Really? It's The Office, bro. Like, what? And I got something to say. Okay, so The Office is my all-time favorite show ever, ever, ever. I'm very upset that it's not on Netflix anymore. It's on Peacock, but you have to pay for Peacock, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. But yeah, so I just read an article like yesterday, and it said something like, oh, I can't remember the name, like the creator. It's like something Daniels, maybe. I don't know. But the creator of the show is like, I would be open to doing a reboot. And I'm like, reboot? Like, no. I love The Office, but you can't bring them back. You just can't, because that would mean that, like, things went severely wrong in, like, everyone's lives. Like, no. And you can't do a reboot because then that would be like all new characters and stuff, which I guess it could be good, but like, don't mess up my show, man. Like, don't do that. I don't know. I had these feelings like for a split second, I was like, oh my god, The Office. And then I was like, no, don't do that to me. Don't ruin my show, man. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you get these reboots and you get excited about them, and then it's just like, why did you do that? You just ruined it. The only reboot that I have really enjoyed is Roseanne / The Conners, because I grew up on that show. And when Roseanne came back like 25 years later, I liked that show, and it was so good that even when they killed off Roseanne, it's called The Conners now. I think it's great. It's like really good. I don't know. But yeah, The Office is my favorite TV show, and I don't know how I feel about a reboot. They're in talks for a reboot, and I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about this. Anyway, so yeah, I think those were like 30 questions or something. How long is this video? Pretty long. So if you made it this far, congratulations. I don't know. Most people don't watch my whole videos, so anyway, I hope that you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.